with you, always.
Welcome to New Gameplay. Today, I am Kyle Hilliard here with Brian Shea. What's up, Brian?
Not a whole lot. Actually, no, that's not true. It's too much is the answer to what's going on. There's a lot happening right now, but I'm excited right now because we are talking about Star Wars Jedi Survivor, which is the follow-up to Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, which was a very good game, but I think that they had a lot to learn from that title, and so I got to go to Los Angeles and play 3 hours of this game. And this is some footage that was provided by EA. So some of it I did play, some of it I did not see. This is one sequence that I did see. And
yeah, so if the gameplay is like, if the skill of the combat is like bad, we blame EA. But if it's like good, just know that that's how well Brian played it when he played.
Yeah, they were actually copying all my moves.
Ship, huh?
That's right.
Tell me about it.
But yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, do you have any context for what's happening here? Like, what's going on?
So this game takes place 5 years after the events of Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. So Cal Kestis, the main character, is back, and he has, he has some more experience. He has grown a little bit as a character. He's continued fighting the good fight. And so he, in the very beginning of my demo, he lands on Kobo, which is this planet that you're currently seeing on your screen. And he is trying to find Grease, who you may remember as kind of like the four-armed guy that was on your ship in the first game. And, he's looking for a part that he can use to repair his ship. And while he's there, he uncovers, like, some other stuff that's going on and decides to investigate that. This is kind of like one of the sections of that. My entire time that I spent playing the game was on Kobo. So all of my time in the game was exploring the various areas, the various biomes of this planet, and learning more about like what happened to this planet, which I'm not going to spoil because it's one of the best parts of the first game was the story, and I think that this is kind of at least heading in that direction as well.
Play here.
Yeah, so you can see right here, this is I believe an optional boss battle against a Rancor. And I think this is part of a side mission that you can do, if I'm not mistaken. And
you did not fight a Rancor in the first game, right?
I don't think so.
Yeah, this is cool. Like, I'm excited to see this. It's funny, I forget that it's like, oh yeah, there's like a bunch of Star Wars monsters and stuff that I'm like excited about.
Yeah. And you can see right here, he just switched over to the new stance in this game, which is the dual wield stance. And, you could do the two lightsaber thing, I guess kind of a spoiler alert for the end of Fallen Order, but it wasn't like a full-on stance. This is one of the new stances that they're adding, because in the first game, the only two full stances were like the single lightsaber and then the dual blade, where it was kind of like Darth Maul, where you have like the one lightsaber with two blades. But we saw very briefly there, he had the dual wield, and there he is again with it. And basically that is a more offensive stance. Like, the single lightsaber is kind of balanced, the double blade is kind of crowd control, and the dual wield is more offensive. And this player, they weren't as good as me, so they got eaten. But let's jump over to some other footage.
So this is still the same planet, Brian, right?
Yes.
This part?
So the outpost is what his primary goal is when he first comes to the planet. He is looking for this outpost where Grease is said to be kind of living and existing and doing his thing in. So existing, yeah. And so he's looking for the cantina, and there's these people hanging out over there. You can talk to them.
That area seemed big. One thing you had in your written preview, which I've read. This is my first time seeing this gameplay, but you said that the map system was a little friendlier and like gave you less one-way roads and stuff like that, which seemed nice.
There was one part, and I have to be careful the way I talk about some of it because there are some restrictions about what I can and can't say. But there was one part where there was a one-way slide, which was one of the biggest frustrations about the maps in Fallen Order. And I was like, oh, it's back. And then I looked, and it was like, oh, wait, you can run up the walls. And, like, it kind of subverted your expectations of, like, oh, great, no more of these one-way slides. And it's like, no, you can just run up the walls and kind of go against it. But now we're getting a look at the skill tree here. So you saw earlier that you can just basically trade out your lightsaber stances like a loadout, essentially. This is at the meditation point that we are currently upgrading. You can also rest, which refills your health and your stim packs. Right now, the player is upgrading the dual wield stance. So this is a focused parry where basically you press Y or triangle if you're playing on PlayStation, and his lightsabers like levitate. And it's a weird thing because the stance is so offensive. You don't have like a traditional parry, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong there, but like I think that was considered the parry. Is like you hold the top face button, the lightsabers levitate, and then if somebody attacks, you can release and perform like a really devastating attack. So this monster, God, what is it called? It is called a Bile Maul. And
I'm impressed that you just have that at the top of your head.
So
Bile Maul.
this is one of the creatures you stumble upon, and I fought several of these. I like this little move he does where he rolls over, but he also vomits all over you as well. But yeah, first, there's some of these creatures, like, I'm not ashamed to admit that I got killed several times by some of these characters. There's one that's called the Mogu, which is like a what's the
no relationship to Grogu?
No relationship to Grogu, because it's more like the I'm forgetting. Of course, I'm getting all these names right, but I'm forgetting like the abominable snowman character on Hoth in Empire.
Right.
But
Wampa.
Wampa, yeah. So he looked like I kept wanting to say Tauntaun, but I knew that wasn't right. And but it looked like a brown, like non-snow version of that. And that thing messed me up for a while. But then later on in the demo, I encountered him again. It was one of those things where it's like a big deal when you encountered him the first time, and then after that, he's just a normal enemy that pops up every once in a while. And the first time, I got just destroyed by him, and then the rest of the times, I ran right through him. So this is one part I did not play, but this is like... It appears to be like one of like the time trial challenges that you have. You can see there's a clock in the upper corner, and it seems like it's going to be pretty challenging with the way that that force field is kind of going back and forth.
Yeah, it looks like you kind of stumble across these, right? It's not like it almost is like, is this like happening in a dream? I don't know, but this is like, I'm into this. Like, this is cool to me. Like, that looks challenging. So we're no longer in space doing space platforming against, force fields. We're back on a planet, it looks like.
Yeah, so I don't recall who this droid and this person is. Appears to be Ash Javi.
And the DDEC.
Okay, so I know that in your outpost you can recruit new people to join, so I'm assuming that's what that was. And as you can see here, there's plenty of still like climbing around, and we saw platforming in the last sequence. But yeah, I like the combat feels so good. Here you can see him with the double-bladed stance. Where, like I said, it's very good for crowd control, and it just looks so darn good.
And these are like episode 1 droids, which is cool.
Yeah. So
see those.
You on this planet, you're fighting the Bedlam Raiders. That's why you can kind of see these droids are fighting alongside them, and this takes place between the prequel and the original trilogy. So, there's some of these like the prequel trilogy battle droids are still left over, but they've been repurposed by these Bedlam Raiders, seemingly. And so they're kind of fighting alongside these raiders that are like a nuisance to this planet of Kobo. And there's a character who you see in a cutscene. His name is Ravis, and he seems like he's going to be a pretty intimidating force. And yeah, he's definitely, he seems like he's maybe the leader of the Bedlam Raiders, if not like just kind of like a leader. But some of these battle droids are actually, I mean, the standard like the B1 battle droids that like the kind of comic relief characters from episode 1, they are not they're not really much of a hassle, but some of the other ones are a little bit more agile or more powerful. They can give you some trouble. So this is something...
It's a cool way to, like almost like a fast travel here, kind of.
Yeah, so there is fast travel, though. Like, that's a new thing that they added, where you can actually fast travel between meditation points. But this is... you can tame animals in this one. And that was one where he tamed that. Here's another one where he tamed, like, this, like, reptile chicken thing.
That's a chocobo.
It was a chocobo, for sure. But yeah, so you can also tame wildlife across the planet. This seems like a sizzle reel of just like kind of like ways to get around. Where's he going? This is my first time seeing this part of the footage.
Yeah, it's kind of fun because, like you said, that's a lot of this footage was provided to us, so it's like, so you're kind of seeing something for the first time too.
So I
But yeah, you did have hands on.
I like the way that like a lot of the environments, like you just use your force to like solve the platforming puzzles. Like you saw him pull that block out of the wall. There were a few times where I was like, all right, where am I supposed to go here? And I would just like force pull a block out of the wall to like help make it to the higher level.
And you can pet the animals, so the Pet the Dog Twitter account has some new content to share.
There we go. Okay, so this is one of the shops, I think, in the outpost. You meet this character kind of early on once you're in Kobo. I don't know what exactly she shares, and I can't hear what we're watching right now, so it's and it would just be a jarbled mess because I'm talking over her anyway. But yeah, Doma, she was kind of like just kind of outside when you arrive. Oh, here's the shop. Okay, so yeah, that's another big element of this game that's new is you can customize Cal. Before it was just like, oh, okay, you can put on a different poncho. Now you can customize BD1's photoreceptor, his head, his audio sensors, his body, his legs, and then
the hair stuff for Cal is what's getting me, man.
Yeah, and then Cal, you can customize
so
a lot. Like you can customize his beard, his hair, his shirt, his jacket, and his pants. And then also, like, you know, the lightsaber customization from the first game is back as well, and it's like really, really like in depth too, like where you can swap out like individual parts, like the hilt and everything, and the emitter.
Right.
So yeah, it's
that stuff's all great. That's why not, you know.
So this is the cantina that is kind of like the center of the outpost, at least from my understanding. So
can you pick the music?
You can choose the jukebox. I did not hear
Does
the cantina
the word
song.
jizz appear anywhere? It's the big question.
I know what you're talking about, but I think you might need to provide some context for
All right,
that.
yeah, that's the genre of music played, I think, in Return of the Jedi.
According to George Lucas, right?
He called the genre jizz. He replaced the A with an I for jazz. It's space jazz, basically.
I could just see the comments on YouTube being like, why did Kyle ask that?
Now, we scrubbed through this footage a little bit already, Brian, and this actually had... I don't know when we'll get to it at some point, but this actually had maybe most of the stuff that you hadn't actually like physically played, because I think you spent most of your time just fighting and exploring. Right?
Yeah, I tried to do a lot of the golden path stuff in my playthrough, because they said like, hey, you have 3 hours with the game, and it would take about 3 hours to get through like the main stuff. So I spent a lot of my time doing that, and of course I ended up getting stuck on like a couple puzzles, so I didn't get all the way to the end of it. But you can see here that he's just kind of sitting there and not doing anything, which is great footage. I think maybe they're probably getting the voice and everything. Oh, this is the confusion thing, I think, maybe, that he was showing. You can actually force confuse your enemies, and sometimes that makes it so that they will attack their friends. They have a farm, and I don't know what like these plants will give you, because I didn't really get a chance to interact with this that much, but you can see like there's plots in the garden right here, and you can plant different seeds that you get, and I'm assuming they'll grow and some sort of benefits will be bestowed upon you based on when these plants come up. But you know, that's a little extra thing that you can do in this game, and I collected all the seeds that I could, and now they're useless because that save file's probably deleted.
I mean, it makes me wonder if you'll be spending a lot of time like returning to this planet, because like in the first game, you spent almost like an even amount of time on each planet, right? Like each planet was like a level, and you hung out there for a couple hours, then you went and did another planet. But this makes me wonder if you're going to be coming back here a lot.
I would imagine, because you're also recruiting all those people to be in the outpost. So I'm assuming that's going to be like your base of operations. Like maybe after every mission, you go back there. So here we're seeing some of the lightsaber customization, which, as I said, it's pretty robust. You have every individual part you can swap out however you want. And it's you know, all this stuff, including some of the customization stuff, including for both BD and Cal, as well as the lightsaber components. These are all available through exploration. Like I would go off into like a little corner, and there'd be like almost like a treasure chest, and you'd open it, and you'd have, oh, I got a new jacket for Cal. So there's some stuff.
It's wild how much you can change out here. Like I'm surprised. You know?
I do love that like he like reacts like he's getting smacked in the face with the components.
Yeah, I don't think he likes it, honestly.
Hey, it takes a lot to look as fresh as he does. And here's some of the Cal stuff. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, I mean, I played around with it. It was funny because, like, one of his abilities now is he can wall jump. And I was, like, you can just, like, kind of bounce back and forth between walls, almost like Mario. And then I looked, and I was like, oh, my God, I accidentally made Cal look like Mario. Because I had him wearing blue... like blue shirt and then red overalls almost, right. And I was like, he had a red jacket and red pants over a blue shirt, and I was like, whoops, or I blue jacket and blue short or blue pants and then a red shirt underneath, and he looked just like Mario, and he was doing the wall jumps, and I was like, whoops, I did not mean to do that.
I also just want to remind everyone that this is provided footage, and Brian did not choose the mullet.
If I had it available to me, I absolutely would have.
I both will not use that option ever, and also really love that it's there.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Oh man, that's so funny. Yeah, why not, man? Let's have a Jedi with a mullet. I mean, Ewan McGregor is not gonna willingly put on a mullet, so we got to give this somebody.
I'm trying so hard to come up with like a wordplay for achy breaky heart, but I just can't. Like, there's no like Jedi terminology.
No, you don't have to. I mean, hey man, this is a good look at Star Wars Jedi Survivor. It's coming out April 28th, Xbox and PlayStation 5.
I don't think
and
it's
PC.
Looking good, man.
And PC.
It's looking great.
Yeah, I very much liked what I played, and I'm excited to jump in when the final version is available.
And there's a preview. There's more from your hands-on time preview on the website as well, right?
Yes, GameInformer.com, and you can read all my full in-depth impressions, and they aren't nearly as scatterbrained as this video has been.
Thanks, Brian.